Here's your Dropbox 2 introduction. In this particular video, I'm going to go over the exam scores project. I'm going to go step by step, and hopefully this helps. Remember, I am here for you. If you need any assistance, please let me know. Hope you have a blessed day. So, exam scores. Let's just go step by step right through this example here. So, these tables here are going to basically look at each question on an exam and whether the student got it correct or incorrect. 1 means correct, 0 means incorrect. And so there's 2 exams here. So let's take a look. These tables show the results of 13 students on 17 question multiple choice exam. Choose one of these tables and copy it into Excel. You want to name the Excel spreadsheet exam score and make sure to save it to your computer, because at the end you're going to submit this Word file and the Excel file. Okay, this one says use red font or blue font to write your answers and explanations on this Word document. So red or blue just to help indicate to the instructor that is part of your response. So just make sure as you go through, so just a quick example here, as I'm typing. So as I go to type, so say just Excel, this is my example. Alright, so for this first one here, it just skipped on the next page just because of the way the tables were. But make sure to just pick either red or pick blue, either one. This just helps again for me to focus on your answers and distinguish between the questions. So make sure you follow those directions there. It makes things for grading and also more immediate feedback much quicker process. So red or blue font. All right, so here we go. Use Excel to calculate the percentage of correct answers for each student. Do not copy these by hand, or don't compute these by hand, and enter them into the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and let's do this together. So we're going to go through and we're going to take this whole table here and highlight everything. We are going to copy it. We're going to open up Excel. We're going to paste it. And there's all your data. So now for the purpose of this video, I'm going to change some of these answers just so that when you go through your project, they're going to be unique to yourself. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to change some of these numbers, but the steps are going to be the same. So again, the steps are going to be the same. So let's make sure you use Excel to calculate the percentage of correct answers for each student. Do not compute by hand, do it with the spreadsheet. So let's do that with the spreadsheet. Again, I changed some of these numbers just to make this unique, and yours will be a little different. So we want to calculate how many they have correct. So we're going to start with a formula. So I'm going to zoom in here so that you can see this a little better. And so we want to calculate the percentage correct. So we're going to first, we're going to sum everything. So let's get this total correct. So equals sum, parenthesis. And then what that command is going to do is it's going to sum everything that I highlight. And then hit enter. And then we can click that and drag it down to copy the formula. And there we go. And so we have a wide range of what students got correct and what they didn't. Now next, we're going to, and again, these numbers are going to be different. I changed them. Next, we're going to do equals, and now we want the percentage that the students got correct, or actually, like basically their exam score. So we're going to take this number here, divide it by the total number of questions, which was 17, and this is going to give us the grade on their test. Okay, and now you notice some of them say 1. Now remember, decimals. Move the decimal over twice to get the percentage. So like this first one here is an 83.3%. This is a 52.9. This one is actually 100. It's a whole 100%. So 2 students here in this particular example got 100%. So let's go to the next problem. So over here, I just copied and pasted this just to help me type these in. So now we're looking for intervals. So the intervals that we have, I just did them in order here. 0 to 59F and all the way down to an A. And now we're going to use something called a bin range. That's going to help us to categorize things in order to make a histogram. So over here, the top one is 59%, or it's 0.59, same thing. And in this bin range, we're basically putting the highest level of these classes, because these are all called classes or intervals. And the highest one here is 100%. And for this particular test, you cannot get more than 100%, so we'll stop right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out the frequency. And it's actually pretty simple. I'm going to take that, I'm going to highlight, I'm going to start to type in equals frequency. There's a frequency. Then we're going to highlight the data, comma. I'm going to highlight the bin, because that's the intervals that we want. Close parentheses. Now, this is going to be key here. You want to hit Control, Shift, and then Enter. So again, I'm going to actually type that down. In that last step, we hit Control, Shift, and Enter. So again, Control, Shift, and Enter. And so that gives us the frequency that occurs in each of these intervals. And as you can tell, if I'm looking at this as a teacher, that's way too many that got an F. Something happened with this test. But that's besides the point. That's for a later question. So let's keep going. Next it says, use this information to make a pie chart. So we're going to make the percentages. We want the percentages are labeled on each pie chart. So let's go and look at those steps. So we're going to make a small adjustment here. I'm going to write, instead of interval, I'm going to put grade. And then here, I'm going to actually label a little better here. I'm going to put A. And then I'm just going to go and fill this in. So we're going to now highlight that label. I'm going to press the Control button so I can highlight another part. And now we're going to make a pie chart. So let's go up to Insert. And then over here we have our charts. We'll look for a pie chart. All sorts of options here. Lots of different options. So we'll do simple. Alright, so there's a pie chart. It does have a nice key here. So we have the percentages there. Now there are options to actually get the percentages inside here as well. So let's take a look at that. So what we can do is we right click. We can, let's see here, we have all sorts of stuff that we can do here. So let's add some labels. Now we have here numbers, but we can add more than just that. Over here on the side, we can have the percentage and the number in that each category. So we can just do the percentage as well. So this here is the percentage of each of these that occur. So an A occurs, let's see here. So we have the colors a little close. So an A occurs 15% of the time, but an F occurs 31% of the time. It's quite a bit. And so right over here is just the various labels that we can put on here. And we can also change here we can say grade distribution for this test, and make sure that the pie chart looks really nice. Just make sure it's labeled appropriately. We have the percentage of each piece on there. We have a legend. We're good. Let's go to the next part. So now this one, we're going to dive a little bit closer into each individual question. So how to calculate the number of responses for each question that were correct. So we want to figure out, say, hey, who got question 1 correct? Who got question 2? And so on. So let's go through and take a look. This time we're going to look at the columns. So we're going to look at here equal to sum, and we're going to sum up each column. And so 8 people got this first number correct, and then we're going to take that formula, drag it across, and there we go. There's the data for that. Now let's keep going. So now we're going to create a bar chart showing the number of students who answered each question correctly. So let's go and do another chart in a very similar manner to the pie chart. We're going to use that same thing. We're going to highlight this top part here. We're going to hit Control. We're going to highlight the bottom there. And then from here, we're going to go back up to Insert. We're going to go to a bar graph this time. There's all sorts of bar graphs that are here. We'll just do a very simple one. And so this chart here is going to show us the question number and how many students got them correct. So we can label this nicely as well. This is question analysis. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at how many students got each of these questions correct. So now we're going to choose two students and create a Venn diagram showing the relationship between the students and the problems they each got correct or incorrect. So let's take a look. So right over here, I have a Venn diagram. Let me show you how to actually get there. Let me do this step by step for you. Over here in Insert, we can go to Smart Art, Relationships, and we're going to go to a basic Venn diagram. Now, since we're dealing with just two, we don't need two. We can click on that and hit delete. And now we just have the two. So let's focus on, I'm just going to pick the top two students. And in here, I'm going to just enter the numbers they got correct. So this first student got 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 5 incorrect. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 incorrect, 12, 13 incorrect, 14, 15, 16, and 17. All right, so those are the numbers that they got correct. All right, and I'm going to just enter a couple more spaces here to make the numbers a little bigger. Do a couple per line here. There we go. I just put a couple on each line to make it better. And let's get the second one. Let's see here. So we have 2. And then, oh, this one didn't get too many correct. 6. And then 7. And then, let's see here. 2, 6, 7, then 9. And then 11, 12. Let's go to the next line here. 12, 13, 15, 17. 13, 15, and 17. All right, let's just verify real quick. 2, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17. Okay, so let's move this down so we can see it a little better here. So now in the middle here, though, in the middle we need the numbers that overlap. So the numbers that overlap go in the middle. And so for that, I just simply entered in just a text box. So we have 2 as an overlap. Let's see here. So 2, 6 as an overlap, and 7, and 9. Oh, we get a comma in there. And then 9. What else we have here? 11 is not an overlap. Oh, so we do have some that are unique. Let's just to make sure that we don't. So 2, 6, 9. 11 does not overlap. 12 does. 13 does not. 15 does. And 17 does. And 17. All right. So let's go through and just make sure that we have this correct. So 2's overlap. So 2, 6, 7, 9. All right, so we have 6, 7. 6, 7, and 9. So 2, 6, 7, 9. And then we have 12. And then 15, 17. 15, 17. All right. So right here, we can verify it by going back up. But so we have our overlaps here. And then we have ones that this student got correct, but this student didn't, and vice versa. Now, just for argument's sake, let's take a look. Did any of them get the same question incorrect? Because that's going to go on the outside of the Venn diagram. Again, outside the Venn diagram. So let's see here. So we have number 5. They both got incorrect. And it looks like that may be the only one. Yep, so number 5 would go on the outside. So let's insert a number 5 on the outside. Let's grab another text box here. And on the outside is the number 5 because they both got that incorrect. So right there would be a Venn diagram for student 1 and student 2 for my example, where these questions here, this student got correct, but this one did not. This is where they both got answers correct. This is where this student got answers correct. This one didn't. and number 5 is they both got incorrect. So that's a Venn diagram for 2 students. And so let's keep moving forward. So one last thing, for this here, we want to format that. We want to make sure, you can do no fill, but you want to make no line, just indicate that's on the outside. But the more important one is actually this guy here. We want to make sure there's a solid line around the whole box. So I want to make sure solid line, and so just make sure you get the correct color. So I actually initially had white, but let's put black or any color you want. Now what that line does, that indicates, hey, now we have our set here, and it kind of closes in that Venn diagram, showing that these are all the possibilities. And we can also go through and double check. We can count. All right, so we have number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, and you can count through. And if you do see any duplicates, you might have made an error. So make sure you go through and verify. All right. This part, we're going to make sure that we be very careful of the wording, because it'd be actually good if you went through and you highlighted things. So keywords are and or. All right, and then we have to actually look at what else is there. So like correct or incorrect. So the big keywords are and or. So I'm going to go through and highlight those. So I'm not going to go through all these examples, but I'm going to give you an understanding of how to do it. And it's always good. It's good to make a Venn diagram to answer each one of these questions. So let's go through and let's just go ahead with the first one. How many students got question 4 and question 6 correct? Let's take a look at the Venn diagram that I just completed. Let's take a look here. So, and is the intersection. So if I said, which ones did students 1 and 2 get correct? 1 and 2 get correct. And intersection, that would represent these numbers in here. So where they both occurred. Again, where they both occurred. So let's look at some of those questions again. This one here says where question 4 and question 6 were correct. So they have to both be true. So question 4 is correct and question 6 is correct. And let's walk through. So let's look at question 4 and question 6. So looking at these 2 rows, if it helps, you can highlight them so when they both are correct. So let's walk through there. All right, so right here, that's 1 student. Nope. Nope. 2 students. There's 3 and 4. Nope. And 5 and 6. So 6 students got both those questions correct. Now, if that confused you, do not worry. Go ahead and make a Venn diagram. It can help. But again, keywords in there are and the other one is or. So let's look at an or. This one here, very different. How many students got question 4 or question 6 correct? That reads as, now let's take a look at the Venn diagram we had in Excel. So or would mean anything in the circles. So all these numbers, if we're looking at or. So or will be everything that's in the circles. That 5 would not be included in that or. So let's go back up and take a look. So or. So there we go. Only one has to have it correct for it to be hold true. So that one works. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So actually, that one is 13. Every student got either 4 or 6 correct. That's why those words are very important. Or versus and. Or means union. Either or can be true for the whole statement to be true. And means intersection. They both must hold or the statement is false. Both must hold or the statement is false. All right, so let's take a look at a little bit trickier one. One of the last. So over here we have, let's see, how many students got question 3 incorrect and question 5 correct? So now we have different words here, incorrect or correct. So we're looking at 2 different things. And it's an intersection because we have the word and, intersecting the word and. And if you look over here, this is kind of a little flip-flopped. So question 3 correct and question 5 incorrect. So pay attention to words of and or, but then now we have incorrect versus correct. So let's take a look. I'm going to do this one here. So question 3, incorrect. Question 5, correct. And we're looking for an and. Looking for an and. All right, let's do it. So we're looking at question 3 if they have it incorrect, and question 5 if they have it correct. Now, highlight's a great tool. You can go ahead and use that to help focus. So let's take a look here. So we're looking at if question 3 is incorrect. There's one. There's another. Okay. So those are the ones that got question 3 incorrect. And now let's look at question 5. We're looking for correct. So here we go. And I'm going to go through and highlight the ones that are correct. Okay. So I think I got them all. This looks good. Looks good. And now it said and. How many students had question 3 incorrect and question 5 correct? So we have 1 here. We have 2 here. And it looks like that is it. Just 1 and 2 students hold true for that statement. So that's how you work those questions. And instead of highlighting the whole columns like I did for that first problem, you can highlight individual ones here just like this. And maybe that'll help focus your eyes on which one will hold true and which one won't. Now, you can also make Venn diagrams as well. Both will work as well. All right, let's keep moving forward. And it looks like one last question here. It says, take a teacher's point of view to analyze the test to see if any questions should be thrown out. Based on the data, give detailed reasons why the questions should be thrown out. Be thoughtful and complete. Make sure to provide deep and thoughtful judgments, draw conclusions. You want to make sure that you show quantitative reasoning. Make sure you show that critical reason here and explain your assumptions. Now, some students will take this assignment and they'll just do an answer here. Now, I'm not allowed to actually give full credit for that particular question if it's just an answer. We need to make sure that you have reasoning behind it, good assumptions behind why you're going to make that rationale. So, for example, you know, if I'm a teacher in high school and I say I'm going to throw out a question, and you know, I might get parents, I might get a principal, who knows who may question it. I have to have some type of rationale to make that decision. Just like in any field, any manager, employee, if they decide to do something, you got to have some type of solid assumption, solid rationale to make that decision. So let's take a look at the data and try to make a decision. So if we look here, we're looking to see we have 13 total students. And this here gives us the sum of the number of students for each question that got correct. Now we notice we had a bunch of 8s, 11s. We have no question was 100% correct by all students. But we do have this one right here, which was rather low. Only 5 students out of the 13, so less than half the class got that question correct. So something may have been worded wrong on that question. Something may have occurred. So with this said, you know, my rationale is, you know, less than 50%. And we can actually get a more accurate one. It was 5 divided by 13. So 38%, only 38% of the students got this question correct, which means this question should be reevaluated. Was it worded incorrectly, like I just said before? You know, were there assumptions that students should have made? Something happened with this question, and based on the total percentage of the students that got it correct and that got incorrect, this question needs to be looked at and most likely thrown out. So you want to go through and give a good rationale of why you think a question should be thrown out versus kept, even if it's a small percentage. So make sure you give a good explanation. And that's actually the last question. Let's take a look if there's anything else here. It says, again, submit your exam scores, Excel file, and the project file. You want to make sure you give good, detailed examples. Even these questions here. Make sure that you give a small little rationale of how you arrive at the answers. Whether it's that Venn diagram, how you highlighted things, just give a good explanation. We're looking for detailed reasoning. Again, to demonstrate that quantitative reason that we're looking for. So if you do need any assistance, please make sure that you email me, text message me. I see those first. I hope that you have a blessed day. Thank you.